A 2021 homeless surge. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at this news.com.au article written by Evan Priest discussing a potential homeless rate spike or surge in 2021 due to job seeker cuts, apparently forcing thousands below the poverty line. Now, well, let's have a think about that before we go through this article. Sure, we're going to have a hit to job seeker. And there are a lot of people on job seeker at the moment. You know what? I will find another chart I did about this in a moment. Nope. Yep. If we have a look here, here is job seeker. We're sitting at 1.4, pretty much 1.5 million on job seeker and youth allowance, everything combined together. Look at that spike, everyone. Look at that spike. You can see that here. So you've got a lot of people on this. So if they're cutting it, it could be an issue. But also, there's talk of I see it's a mixed bag. In certain parts of the country, you've got rents are going gangbusters, people going places to live. And in other places, rents are starting to get trimmed fairly significantly to become more affordable. So it's going to be a mixed bag. You may see some homelessness in certain parts now where there's high demand. It looks like the sunny coast is just flat out getting rental accommodation right now. Whereas other places where units are plunging in price for rents because they can't get people in there, it may be more affordable. So the question is, do we have a mobile population here in Australia? If you're on job seeker, are you going to move somewhere for rent? Maybe you will. Having just gone through the process, though, of renting a place, literally we're renting a house, a few houses up the street, like 3 or 4 houses away. And because we're doing renovation work on here, if you hear a generator going in the background when I'm recording my videos, guys, you know the power pole hasn't arrived and we're having all these electrical wiring problems. I need to strip all the wiring here in this place and redo it, which isn't too hard because we're at Queenslanders, it's all under the house. But anyway, because of that, we've gone through the whole process of having to apply for a rental. We haven't done it for so long. We're old and grumpy. Rachel handled it all, and she's the nice one. I can't handle just doing paperwork. It sickens me. It really does, this bureaucratic rubbish. It just feels like needless work. Nothing is worse than duplicating paperwork that you've already filled out somewhere else. That inefficiency just hurts me in my soul. Nonetheless, we've gone through that process, so getting a rental is a nightmare. All the stuff they want. I was shocked. I really was. And we were fortunate enough that we could just say, we're not giving you any of this information for our bank statements and that. We'll just pay all the rent. How about we do that? We only want it for 6 months. It's fine. And we tell them, we've got the worst house in the street. You help us do it up. It increases your investment value. I doubt that made much difference, or maybe it would have. But the point being, not everyone is going to have that capacity. If you're on job seeker, you're going to have to jump through all these hoops because the real estate agents need to justify frankly, a rather easy job that they do. Still, let me share your stories in the comments, guys, if you've gone through this process of trying to find a rental, because I imagine from our own experience, it's been annoying and frustrating. If you're homeless trying to get a rental, it could be a nightmare. If you don't have any fixed address, people aren't going to want to, rent to you. But that may all change as people get desperate with their investment property. This is why we needed to, as harsh as it sounds, this is why the government needed to not intervene in the market and let it self-correct. Let some of these arrogant landlords cop a bit of a smack in the face, so then they humble themselves a little bit. So the market corrects. That needs to happen. Otherwise, you're just going to get the divide in society growing even more and more, and that'll build resentment. I can't be the only one that sees that or is worried about that. Anyway, a new report predicts cuts to job seeker payments coming on January 1 will have a devastating unintended effect for Australian cities. I think people are fleeing cities. We're talking to some country family at the moment. People are buying farmland sight unseen. It is just insane. Right now it is insane. So it looks like Sydney and Melbourne have reached their peak and they're going to start cooling down a little bit. And now Brisbane, we're the poor cousin that everyone's going up. Oh, look at there. Oh, wait, I can work remote. I'm going to do that. Australia's homeless rate will surge by 9% next year, When cuts to the job seeker payments coronavirus supplement heap more misery on those living below the poverty line, a new report predicts. On January 1, the coronavirus supplement for job seeker, which rose to $550 a fortnight during the pandemic, will be slashed from $250 to $150. This is why I hope everyone who's gotten this extra money has stashed it away, has saved it to build an emergency reserve. You're going to need it. They're going to inflate it away too. During the 3-month period after New Year's Day, a single person with no children will be back to $357.85 a week. The supplement will then be scrapped altogether on the 31st of March, leaving a single person with no children on $282 a week or $40 a day. I mean, that ain't much. You can get a room in a place for $100, couldn't you? At least you could back in the... I think the cheapest I ever got was like 50 or something crazy. You could get a room for 100 still. I was looking around here. It doesn't leave much. But, this is an emergency payment to keep you from being destitute. It's not meant to be a UBI. As much as everyone is advocating for it, it's just meant to be a temporary emergency thing. But the problem is you've got the government also intervening with all these minimum wage laws, which means that some people aren't going to get up to that level. Maybe they don't have the skills. Maybe they haven't had the opportunity to develop those skills. And it's also... now we're living in a digital world. You're not just competing with the other guy rocking up for the interview. You're competing with businesses that can outsource overseas. The Australian Council of Social Service defines the national poverty line as $457 a week for a single adult. $457 a week. Have you done it below the poverty line, guys? I mean, in small business, there's certainly going to be times where we've earned less than that a week. But then again, you're living off the money you get in other times. But still, $457 a week. Combined with a national unemployment rate of 7%, 7,500 more people are projected to become homeless, up from 83,000 according to figures from analytics firm Inquire Economics commissioned by the social housing organisation Everybody's Home. Well, this is the thing. Here's the problem, guys. You get the argument that we need to have negative gearing because it encourages people to discount rent to provide more housing opportunity. But the problem is negative gearing is a way to minimize taxation. So people, the government and the states and everyone just pushes taxes higher and higher and higher. So there's more demand for these properties to mitigate your tax because it's what we do in Australia. So then the price of those properties goes up. So, if the price is up at this level, rent has to be a little bit here. So you get making that difference in your tax. Even if it goes up, it'll all go up. It's a false economy, and it's due to it's creating a bubble for investment properties as a way to minimize tax. I don't blame people for taking advantage of it. I completely understand. And it's going to be really unfair for future generations, myself and my children included, that won't have the same opportunities to take advantage of negative gearing as others if they were to get rid of it. But it creates this spiral. That's why housing is so expensive. That's why people can't afford these things. New South Wales will be the hardest hit, with homelessness forecast to rise by 19.1%, followed by 13.1% in Victoria and 14.1% in Tasmania. All the cold states. That ain't good. The combination of a decline in welfare payments and a long tail of unemployment is going to have a devastating effect on already vulnerable Australians. Everybody's Home spokeswoman, Kate Colvin, told Newswire. We were alarmed to see the federal parliament last week approve the proposed cuts to the coronavirus supplement coming in December because a lot of new families will be facing homelessness. Homelessness and housing stress are a hothouse for anxiety, depression, and family breakdown, and this modelling paints a frightening picture of the months and years ahead. In addition to homelessness, mortgage and rental payment stress is projected to increase 24% across the nation. Mortgage stress is defined when more than 30% of a household's combined income is dedicated to paying the mortgage. Should that definition be changed? Only 30%. That ain't that much. We're in a different world now, guys. We're not in the time when the boomers were young, when you can get a house on one income. Not anymore. Home stress leads to inability to afford other bills, Ms. Colvin said. That includes struggling to afford decent food, or to meet medical bills. If a car breaks down, that could be a complete disaster because that person can't get to work, and it creates huge amounts of stress. We went for quite a period without a car. When we had all the kids, I couldn't afford the rego on the cars, so we parked them on the lawn. We caught the train. That was train and bus. It was fun going with all the kids in the train. They loved it. And it you know, I mean, that's the advantage we have being near a train line. We can get into the city. It doesn't make that much difference for our work. There you go. But if you're away from public transport, you're in the suburbs because that's where you can get the cheap housing. All these things, I can see how they can compound. But this is why you need to have an emergency fund. Even the initial, you look at the Dave Ramsey model, the first thing is just to save $1,000, just $1,000 as a mini emergency fund if something hits, just so you have it there. So many people don't even think to do that. I'm really hoping this will get a whole lot of people going, okay, I'm gonna, I'm putting something aside. Let's get rid of that Netflix or that cut the phone, mobile phone, or don't need that, or get rid of this, or this. Or only get a $15 a month mobile plan or a $10 one to save money. The solution, according to Everybody's Home, is a $7 billion investment in social housing. The organization believes social housing would not only curb homelessness, but create 18,000 jobs in the construction for those homes over a 4-year period and provide a $18.2 billion boost to the economy. Now, my issue with this is I would rather that passed on in tax deductions, because then you will have greater economic activity. Or even, frankly, the home builder scheme, even though it's juicing up the housing market, is having more of an impact with regards to economic activity than social housing. But then again, this is just more of the same. It's more housing. We need to create jobs that aren't associated to housing, everyone. That's the thing. Assistant Minister for Community Housing and Homelessness, Luke Howarth, said the Morrison government had allocated around $8.4 billion in housing and homelessness interventions. This includes about $1.6 billion delivered to states to improve access to housing and almost $5.5 billion to 1.7 million individuals and families for rent. I think I'm the only architect who doesn't like the idea of government going into social housing. I don't see it as though it shouldn't be the role of the government. The government should get out of the way. But to do that, they would have to remove so many of their other interventions. So I can understand why people are calling for this. What they want, here's the bullshit. They want the government to provide housing so everyone can feel good, but then they still want to get their, pay virtually no tax because they're offsetting it using 3 or 4 investment properties, negative gearing. That's what they want. And they want to make sure the value of their property goes up. Oh, and they don't want any of that dirty social housing near them. No, we can't have that. Not in my backyard. Which is ludicrous. We've got social housing literally in our street, and it's a nicer house than ours. The young lads, they're fixing up like 4 cars. 4 cars that they're fixing up. And I was talking to a neighbor about it, and he likes it because we've got all these cars just parked in the street, and it slows everyone down who's going through the street because, you're going to hit these cars. So it's actually a benefit. We don't need speed bumps. There you go. I mean, good on them. They're making some money and, saving it. It's what you want. I tell you, it's a better crew than we have now than we had last time. We had before they redid the house, the last family there was just a poor young guy my age, not doing much with his life. So lots of screaming and bottle smashing. I like the guys out of there now. Just need to get them to help fix my father-in-law's car. That'd be nice. Anyway, enough story time. So, that's the issue with regards to it. You got all these people, you got these champagne-sipping socialites who still want their property to be at a nice, healthy value, still want to take advantage of all of those schemes and interventions in the market, but don't realize they're contributing to this, that they're trying to advocate for saving. That's it. The coalition has also increased the National Housing Finance and Investment Corporation low-cost finance cap from $2 billion to $3 billion to support construction of new affordable houses. So homelessness and housing stress projections by state. New South Wales, 19.1% rise in homelessness. Sydney's will rise by 27.1%. Wow, inner west. Baulkham Hills, 33.4%. New South Wales, far west, 59.3%. Victoria, 13%. Geelong, 23%. Queensland, 3.6% increase in homelessness, with a 31.9% increase in central Queensland. One thing I noticed when I was going to the State Library here, they had all these little homeless books and things and information targeted at women. You know, who do you think's the group that is the majority homeless, guys? Just let me know. Let me know in the comments. I'll hand that to the MGTOW boys. South Australia, 1.9%. Mandurah, did I get that right? I always get it wrong. 54.9%. You know, Martin North's favourite suburb. Tasmania, 14.1%. ACT, 7.8%. NT, 10.2%. In Darwin, the number of families experiencing housing stress will rise by 24.3%. Well, that's not homelessness. Housing stress, homelessness, homelessness, homelessness. There you have it, everyone. I mean, is social housing the answer? It's a band-aid. It's not an answer. Do people want to live in social housing? Sure, you want it rather than being homeless, but most people will want to be able to provide housing for themselves and not be dependent on the state. What do you reckon? What do you think the solution is? Rather than plowing money into these organizations, incentivizing the private sector to create more jobs and opportunities. But sadly, this is the type of thing that's going to happen, guys, when we hit our first recession in 28 years. What do you reckon? As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. You can buy merch from HeiseSays or Teespring, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, everyone, and I will see you all in the next episode. Bye for now.